50% tariffs on Indian goods, a staggering $100,000 H-1B visa-free, and a chilling diplomatic readout with no warmth after the Jaishankar-Rubio meeting. Is this the future of India-US relations under Donald Trump's second term? Or can External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio find a way to mend the rift? The most critical diplomatic test for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's foreign policy, whether India and the United States can break the deadlock over trade, tariffs, visas, and strained partnership over Trump's India-Pakistan ceasefire claims. In New York, on the sidelines of the 80th United Nations General Assembly, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar met US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Now, this wasn't just another bilateral exchange. This was the first face-to-face meeting since President Donald Trump doubled the hypocritical tariffs on Indian imports to 50% as punishment for India's continued purchase of Russian oil. If that wasn't enough, just days before this meeting, Trump signed a proclamation slapping a jaw-dropping $100,000 application fees for H-1B visas, a move that sent shockwaves through Indian technology sector and left thousands of skilled workers uncertain about their future. So what did Jaishankar and Rubio actually achieve in this high-stakes meeting? According to Secretary Rubio's own social media post on platform X, the meeting focused on strengthening the partnership in areas like trade, defense, energy, pharmaceuticals, and critical minerals, an agenda aimed at enhancing prosperity for both the nations. Now, Jaishankar echoed this tone, calling it a constructive conversation that covered a range of bilateral and international issues of current concern and stressed the importance of sustained engagement, unquote. Now, it sounds positive, right? Well, not quite. Former Foreign Secretary Kanwal Sibbal, a seasoned diplomat, described the official readout as odd. But why? Because Rubio's emphasis was disproportionately on trade and energy, with barely a mention of India-US strategic interests like the Quad or the Indo-Pacific or China or the larger defense partnership. Sibbal went further, questioning why pharmaceuticals were included at all. Was Trump planning to weaponize another pressure point in negotiations? His conclusion was blunt. There was no diplomatic warmth in US statement. So here's the big question for you. Was the meeting a genuine attempt at reconciliation or just a cold transaction by the US? The India-US trade deal has been hanging by a thread for months now. Negotiators from both the sides nearly closed the deal, but it collapsed when Trump abruptly imposed additional tariffs. Today, both the governments are desperately trying to revive talks with Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal in the United States this week to hammer out technical details. The goal? A bilateral trade agreement that could more than double trade volumes from the current $191 billion to $500 billion by 2030. But can such a deal really move forward when Trump keeps on adding new penalties, from tariffs to Indian oil imports to punitive visa restrictions? Repeated claims on India-Pakistan ceasefire have also not gone down well in New Delhi. Or is this political posturing by the White House designed to push India into a corner to concede concessions in the trade deal? Now, beyond trade, India-US relations has a larger strategic context. Washington has repeatedly called India a critical partner in maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific, especially through the Quad alliance alongside Japan and Australia. Rubio himself, during Senate hearings earlier this month, said India was one of the top relationships that the United States has in the world today. Yet his own statement after meeting Jaishankar lacked references to this bigger picture. Was this omission a deliberate message to New Delhi? At the same time, India has been navigating its own balancing act, purchasing oil from Russia despite US sanctions, while also expanding defense and technology ties with Washington. Here's the biggest question. Is Trump's tariff war pushing India closer to Russia and China? Or will Prime Minister Modi use this crisis to renegotiate a stronger, more equal partnership with the United States. Diplomacy is not just about policies, it's as much about personalities. The relationship between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Trump has always been warm, marked by hugs and handshake, but on the diplomatic front, suddenly things have cooled. On the 16th of September, President Trump called Prime Minister Modi to wish him on his 75th birthday. Both the leaders exchanged pleasantries and even mentioned cooperation on global issues like the Russia-Ukraine war. Yet this warm phone call came just weeks after Trump had already doubled his tariffs on Indian goods. It's a contradictory pattern. Hostile policies on one hand, friendly, open public rhetoric on the other hand. Prime Minister Modi reciprocated by saying he's fully committed to taking the India-US partnership to new heights. Trump has described India as a special relationship. But when push comes to shove, will personal chemistry override hard-nosed trade wars? For Indian professionals, the real heartbreak has been Trump's shocking move on H-1B visas. The $100,000 application fee is not just a financial hurdle. It could potentially shut the door on thousands of engineers, IT specialists, doctors and researchers who had previously been sought after in the United States. India's Ministry of External Affairs had already warned of humanitarian consequences, but will the White House consider? Is this a way of protecting American jobs or just another witch hunt against India? It also remains to be seen how this will affect Silicon Valley, where Indian talent has long been the backbone of innovation in America. Can India use this opportunity to stop the brain drain and, in fact, strengthen its own institutions? Trump's trade policies are already impacting the US economy with an even slower job growth and rising unemployment among Americans. Possibly, this explains his H-1B visa crackdown. Despite the tensions, there are subtle signs of a thaw. Earlier this month, President Trump described the India-US ties as special and assured there's nothing to worry about. Modi responded by saying he's deeply appreciated President Trump's words. Negotiators are still talking behind the scenes. Both the governments continue to stress their long-term vision of a strategic partnership. And Jaishankar's repeated visits to America 5 times in the last 9 months underline India's determination not to let the relationship slide into permanent damage. But make no mistake, the road ahead will not be easy. Tariffs, visa restrictions, cancelled waivers, and fresh accusations have left scars. Whether these wounds can heal depends on political will at the very top. So where does this leave us? The Jaishankar-Rubio meeting may have been cordial, but it lacked warmth. The trade deadlock continues, the visa war has worsened, and the tariffs remain one of the biggest irritants in bilateral ties. Yet both the sides must recognize one undeniable truth. India and the United States need each other, strategically, economically, and geopolitically, to counter China. But the question is, will Trump's erratic policies permanently damage the relationship, or will Modi and Trump still find a way to bridge the divide? One thing is clear, the world is watching closely, because what happens next in India-US relations will shape not just the trade war or visas, but the balance of power across the Indo-Pacific. But what do you believe? Have India-US ties been permanently damaged by Trump's erratic foreign policies? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.